What's up, everyone? Welcome into Fantasy Football Office Hours. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, Josh. What's up, Josh?
Sorry, that was loud. Did not mean to be that loud. Feeling pretty solid.
I'd say so.
Guys, and also joining us today for Office Hours to help answer all of your questions is the senior redraft analyst for Gridiron Rating, an expert ranker on Fantasy Pros. And I said it last time, I'll say it again, the redraft guru on the fantasy Twitter space, Matthew McCarthy. What's up, Matt? Thanks for coming on with us today.
Hi, I'm not as enthusiastic as Josh, but I don't think anyone is. So,
what was your nickname last time? Person on the bottom?
Person on the bottom. That's me.
Person on the bottom. We'll have to mix that around. Maybe you can get a new nickname. We'll throw you up here, and then all of a sudden, person on the top.
Matt, person top right.
Guys, and if you do not already follow our friend Matt on Twitter, go and follow him right now. His Twitter handle is under his beautiful face at Methodical1. Right there, you can see it. So make sure you go and follow him. He's a great follow, gives awesome advice, and just a funny dude. You know what I mean? There's always funny stuff coming out of your Twitter account, Matt. You crack me up on a regular basis.
Yeah, you should check out my Christmas card. It's not show appropriate, but it's definitely Twitter appropriate.
Have you watched our show? It's probably show appropriate right there. Guys, we got some people in the chat already. What's up, Mike? Welcome in. Mike? And Scott saying, wow, Antonio Brown suspended 3 games. So Matt and I were talking a little bit about this before the show. And Matt, you said Antonio Brown is droppable.
Yeah, and I have a lot of Antonio Brown, so no, he's not going to be on my playoff teams. He's gone.
Josh, do you agree with Matt? Is Antonio Brown droppable?
So 3 games. We already expected him to miss the next 2 games. Like, he's droppable. Yes, I agree. If you have to win, you have to win.
I will say, if some leagues allow for out to be on IR, and you can kind of finagle that, if you're allowed to do that, then yeah, fine. Otherwise, just go. Get him out of there.
So, like, best case scenario, you get him for 2 weeks. And are you going to feel really great starting him that first week back?
No.
Not with Gronk healthy, no.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm trying to hold on to him if I can, but he's absolutely droppable. You're correct.
Craig in here saying, hi, all you cool cats and kittens. What's up, Craig? Glad to have you here. And Mike has a DST question for us. Should I hold on to Patriots defense, or I have several waiver options to pick up? Indy, Minnesota, Tampa, Philly, or Miami. I have been streaming all year, is what he says. Josh, what do you think on this one? Should he hold on to the Patriots DST, or should he go with one of these streaming options? Or I'll propose a third option. Hold on to Patriots DST and pick up a streaming option for this week.
Absolutely. So I think this is the time of year where, typically in fantasy, I do not want to hold 2 defenses whatsoever, but we are at the time of year where you absolutely can do that. Get rid of those guys on your bench, get rid of those wide receivers you were hoping to pan out that just haven't yet, and maybe hold 2 defenses and you can play the matchups, right? The Patriots defense is an elite defense. It's the defense you want going forward. So if you want to hold on to them, I am completely fine with that. Having said that, though, there are some very solid defenses down here that we're looking at, including Philadelphia, that I think has great matchups throughout this week and throughout the fantasy playoffs. So
I'm with you, Josh. I think I would pick up Philly. Maybe hold on to Patriots if you have that space, but the matchups don't get much better for Philadelphia. This week they're playing the Jets, then they're on bye, but then after that, Washington football team, New York Giants, Washington football team in weeks 15, 16, and 17. Matt,
I will say the Buccaneers are great too.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're available. The Bucks and Colts are my 1 and 2 for the week. I just don't know if they're going to be out there. Philly, Miami.
You can pick them up.
Oh, yeah. All, those are, Tampa Bay is numero uno against the Falcons. Falcons, the only one game of the last 4 that have had 300 yards total, and that came against Jacksonville. This is not Jacksonville. This is going to be possibly a good fantasy game, but at least for one team. Otherwise, and one other thing, I will say, Antonio Brown, let's say, like, give an option for, like, droppable players. Curtis Samuel, he finished out that game. There's going to be a piece come out for Fantasy Pros I'm a part of, and my long shot for this week is going to be Curtis Samuel. I think it's with his health finally coming around. I think Washington starts getting to be a better offense with him and Logan Thomas returning. So the easy Samuel for Antonio Brown swap, I think if you need another receiver, you could go and pick him up now.
That makes sense. Jay in here says JL looks different. Craig saying, Matt, excited to have you here. And Jay agreeing with us, saying Matt is one of the best follows on Twitter.
He really is.
Jay will never say anything bad about me. So
Jason wants to know.
It's hard to.
Kaysen wants to know Kyler or Taysom. So there's the questions around Kyler playing, and Taysom starts tonight. So he has to make the decision. Do I roll Taysom out tonight or wait and see if Kyler is healthy? Matt, what would you be doing here?
I think we just got news about like an hour ago. I saw from NBC Sports Edge that said Murray and Hopkins will be playing. But in case anything does change that, the problem with Taysom Hill is I think this is a bad offense. You have because I think that was last year 2020 production. You had Emmanuel Sanders, you had Michael Thomas, you had Jared Cook, you had Alvin Kamara. You don't have all four of those guys. You don't have two offensive tackles. I think this is going to be a very bad game. The Dallas Cowboys defense is actually in my top 5 as well. That's a very good defense, I think, on multiple facets. Yeah. We have possibly, the defensive rookie of the year and possibly defensive, player of the year, all in one package on that team. But
that's crazy.
Really,
you're talking about, of course, Diggs and Parsons. I would.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad I could get him. I'm not a defensive guy,
No, me neither. Yeah,
I'm glad I know.
Craig's in here. He's much better at that. Craig in the chat, but I don't like Taysom Hill. Some other quarterback options that might be out there if you want to pick those up instead. Tua against the Giants. Tyler Heineke against Vegas. I like Garoppolo this week. I know he doesn't have Deebo Samuel, but Seattle can't stop anyone. Derek Carr, Carson Wentz. There's a ton of good quarterback options I think this week.
I'm with you, Matt. That's exactly what my answer was going to be. I was going to say hold out for Kyler and pick someone else up off the waiver wire if you can. One of those guys Matt mentioned is a perfect ad. Josh, I might have missed you. Sorry, my dog was chewing on something. He found a bone somehow out of nowhere. Like he's in my office. I just cleaned it. No idea where he pulled that out of, but I jumped out. Did you already answer this, Josh?
You guys summed it up perfectly, though. It's Kyler Murray. He can do everything that Taysom Hill is able to do, plus just has a better offense, better coach, better team, better weapons. Hold out for Kyler Murray and then go with anyone else if he doesn't end up playing, which it looks like he will.
Jay in here has a question. Joe Burrow versus the Chargers or Tua versus the Giants. And you know what? I'm going to go first because I know
where you're going.
On Tua earlier, and I'm going Tua. The way Tua has been playing recently has been lights out, and I don't like this matchup for the quarterback or the receiving options there in Cincinnati going up against the Chargers. Joe Burrow's been great, but so has Tua over the past couple of weeks. I'm rolling with Tua with this offense the way it's been looking, especially with Devontae Parker back.
We have a little gentleman's bet going on here. Tua versus Stafford, by the way. It's a gentleman's bet, nothing crazy, just a little fun there. So I knew you were going to go Tua here, Simon. It made a lot of sense. I'm on the other side. I would go Joe Burrow. I understand that it's a tougher matchup for Joe Burrow. The Chargers, they have a good pass defense, but I love Joe Burrow's weapons. I think he's going to have a great game. What could hurt him is Joe Mixon is looking great, and he could just take over the game with his carries, but I'm still leaning Joe Burrow, even though they're very close.
Especially against sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, no, I was going to say one thing I like about these sort of very, I think it's going to be a good fantasy game. When I look at the Vegas lines, a very tight spread, 3 points favored for Cincinnati, and one of the highest totals, 50.5. When I look at those two numbers, Vegas think it's going to be a competitive game. Now, we've had a little bit less good stuff out of Jamar Chase, but Higgins has really come on board, and Joe Mixon is a very, very, very good fantasy player right now.
Oh, yeah.
You have 3 no doubt starts in Eckler, Allen, and Mixon. The quarterbacks, I think, are going to benefit from good production. You have good defensive measures on both sides. The Chargers and the Bengals defense, I think, have been very nice surprises. I think this is a very important game in terms of the AFC playoff landscape because that conference changes hands every single week. I'd like to be part of a competitive game in the Chargers Bengals than I would from the Dolphins Giants. That's fair. Just personally me.
That's fair. I think these guys are super close. I barely lean Tua, but that 100% makes sense. Tim in here chiming in saying the Miami is gold defense this week. And Scott saying, I'm so mad about Miami. I picked them up for the Bucs bye. They did awesome. I dropped them right before looking at the schedule. I mean, Tampa Bay is very good, but Miami has been lights out. Their defense has been looking great recently.
But you feel good playing Tampa Bay still. Yeah. I don't think that's like downgrade necessarily.
Jay says your Red Sox pennant is trash, Matt.
I mean, I also have a Mets and a Long Island Ducks one. So,
and real fast, I saw earlier that peaked in high school. Alex said, "Did Josh change shirts?" I did. This is office hours. You're coming to the professors. I want to look a little more professional.
That's why I also have a collar on. Is what's going on here.
I also sweat literally every single stream that we ever do. So, that sure.
Yeah, Matt's the professor you run into at the bar, and he's cool. He doesn't make it weird.
He's like,
how's it going? Like says hi, but then goes about his own business. Like he's the cool professor that you see out.
I actually see that.
Jaron, who says, do we trust Waddle this week? Bradbury has been on fire. Bradbury shut down Kelsey and Devonta Smith recently. I could flex Jamal Williams and sit Waddle. So with DeAndre Swift likely being out, this is now an interesting question. Jamal Williams versus Jalen Waddle this week. Jalen Waddle has been on a tear, though, an absolute tear, but we're getting supposedly the starting running back, the lead back for the Detroit Lions, and Jamal Williams. Matt, which of these two players would you be starting?
I really like Waddle. I'm just gonna. I can give a long answer, but the short answer is Waddle.
Waddle.
You didn't even give a long answer. You said I really like Waddle.
No, I mean, I could go into it.
You could.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep my answers a little bit shorter. You know, we got so many people to answer.
Of course. Let me just talk for a couple minutes here. No. I actually do think Jamal Williams is going to have a fantastic game. I think he gets 20 touches. That's just the fact that Bradbury has been on fire, right? It's super close. I really want Jamal Williams in my lineup, and just to be a little, but I love Waddle too. It's so close. I lean Jamal Williams.
And I get that. I think Jamal Williams might be safer. There's guaranteed volume in my eyes for the starting running back for the Detroit Lions. But I think the upside for Jalen Waddle and what we've seen from him recently is enough for me to plug him in my lineup with some confidence, even with the secondary matchup that you're talking about there, JR. I'll agree with Matt here and go Waddle. But I'm with Josh. If your running backs are good enough that Jamal Williams is on your bench, then that's fantastic, because I think he's a great start this week. Brandon wants to know, should I start Cowboys defense against the Saints tonight? So I guess that depends on what your other options are. But Matt, how do you feel about the Cowboys defense tonight?
The Saints have very bad offensive weapons. It's a Thursday night game. They are down 2 offensive tackles. Taysom Hill has thrown 8 passes this year. Yeah, that's a fine start.
I'm with you. I think it's a good start.
Josh, how does he keep getting paid? How does he keep getting paid? I don't understand this man.
I think he's got a good relationship with the team, I guess. That's all I could think of. But what did you say, Matt? I think you said the Cowboys are top 5 defense for you, right?
Yes, they are top 5 defense.
Yeah. So roll with them. They're absolutely a top 10 defense.
Thursday can get wacky, but I think the process seems right with all they don't have good players, and the Cowboys have had very good defensive measures. So fun with them.
No Kamara, seriously.
Yeah, also no
Kamara
on
the Saints.
There's Deontay Harris.
It's a great start. Brandon also wants to know, should I start or sit Gallup? I'm probably sitting him. It depends what your other options are, but if just blanket in a vacuum, is he a start or a sit? If we're expecting Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb to play in this game, right?
Yeah, you'll know by 7:30 whether or not you should even think about it.
If both those guys are active, I'm not plugging Michael Gallup in. Could he go off? Yeah, but there's so.
You want to play a game real fast?
Sure.
I'll play a game with you guys. So let's say that CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are playing tonight. Amari Cooper is supposed to be a little limited. He's fine, but he is going to be a little limited. I don't understand that at all. But let's just say they're both playing. Are you starting Kendrick Bourne or Michael Gallup?
I knew that's the name you were going to say, Josh. I was positive of it.
It's such a perfect name. I feel like it's perfect. It's absolutely a perfect name.
I'll start Kendrick Bourne. I like the touchdown upside for him. I feel like he's got more touchdown upside with both of these guys. I'll take the one that could give me a 25-point game. I don't think you're getting that from Gallup tonight.
How about you?
Yeah, I'd still look for other guys. Who's
no, just
Van Jefferson.
I'm looking at the names on my Van Jefferson, T.Y. Hilton against Houston. If I'm looking for, because you're really trying, because I know Buffalo was so bad against the Colts, but Buffalo is every defensive metric you can basically put up the Bills against. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is an amazing defense. I understand. It feels like we're chasing, because he just had a 2 touchdown game, right? I might think of a different Patriots receiver.
No, it was Bourne. It was Bourne.
That feels like the most I'm chasing points thing to ever exist if I go with Bourne in that situation.
I will say Kendrick Bourne's been relatively consistent. I say consistent.
Elijah Moore was the same situation. I called that game a trap last week. I know it wasn't on here or anywhere else because I took last week off, but you look at situations where I understand past performances coming into a week. One is like Jamar Chase and Higgins. Higgins has been very much the best receiver for Cincinnati over the last month. But Jamar Chase, you understand, it's how much do you influence past production versus current week situation. And you have issues with that. And I have issues with Kendrick Bourne coming off of such an explosive game. This was not someone we were thinking about really jamming into our lineups last week. I know it's week 13 and some people need to get hot and heavy with their roster decisions. I don't know why that's the term I used to describe that.
I love getting hot and heavy.
I don't like the moan afterwards. Nothing's going well here. But other guys, Tim Patrick is another one. Tim Patrick's most likely on your waiver wire, and no one respects the guy. If we're looking for other stuff, I'd rather go in other places. Go for the good games. I don't think anyone Buffalo is a good game fantasy wise.
Unruly Driven here says flex 1, Mark Ingram, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin. And for me, Amari Cooper, unfortunately, is the odd man out because of the news. Like, you've got two other great options here. Amari Cooper, with the news that he might be on a limited snap count, just knock him off because you've got two other great options. I'm probably going Terry McLaurin, but I think Mark Ingram's a great start as well. Matt, where are you going here?
I have 6 receivers ranked ahead of Terry McLaurin this week, so I would be going with Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin.
Josh? Terry McLaurin for me. Locked and loaded Terry McLaurin for me as well.
JR, and thank you for putting the V in there. I appreciate it. Is Javonte Williams top 12 if Gordon is out? Josh?
Yeah, let me just look at my top 12 receivers real fast, and yes, he is.
Matt, what about you? Is
Jamal Williams is my 12th running back. Would be if Swift's out, and I'll play Javonte Williams over Jamal Williams.
I have Javonte Williams. I have Jamal Williams already. I'll tell you that.
Even with Swift out.
Yes, I don't think it's a complete good like measured fit in. I'm a little bit lower on him, and I know it's a hot take, but Javonte Williams, I will say I don't like how much Twitter is very happy that Melvin Gordon is.
Yeah, you should never celebrate injuries, and he's been great for fantasy this year.
He has. Both have been good. Javonte Williams would just pick up all that work against a Kansas City defense that's been pretty not great against anyone on the other side. I would very much say he'd be because James Robinson, he's a little bit limited. He might not. He didn't practice today, so yes. Number 12 for running back right now for me is Jacksonville's James Robinson. So I would move Williams ahead of Robinson.
There we go.
I did hear a rumor in our last stream that James Robinson actually just like apparently like he couldn't make the beginning of practice, and he actually did get in a limited session at the end.
That was what Justin said, I believe. Yeah, I think Justin said with that.
Oh,
that's it for what it is. I don't know if that's actually.
He's still playing the Rams, so I don't love it. Regardless.
Yeah, I know. I'm lowering James Robinson in my ranks a little bit.
Forgive Jonah wants to know trade Saquon and Jacoby for Montgomery and Thielen. Matt, how do you feel about this trade? Which side would you prefer?
It's so I'm such the anti-Thielen guy, but he's been so good, and he's a top 10. He's a top 15-esque receiver because he just keeps scoring.
I think on the year he's a top 7 receiver, if I remember. I think he's number 6, if I remember correctly. I'll bet that for you.
I really would prefer Saquon the most, but I guess Montgomery Thielen because Jacoby Myers isn't like I think in the same tier as these other guys, so it's fine. Fine is my answer.
I would take the Montgomery and Thielen side here because unfortunately, I don't know how much of a downgrade it is from Saquon to Montgomery rest of season. Like just the way this Giants offenses look, Saquon coming back after the injury. I'm not sure it's a massive downgrade. A downgrade, sure, but not one that's like multi-tier. But from Thielen to Jacoby, that's multiple tiers for me. I'll take the Montgomery and Thielen side. Josh, what do you think?
And just so you guys know, Adam Thielen is 7th out of all wide receivers in a PPR league. He's 8th in a standard league. But I'm on the Montgomery Thielen side.
Yeah, it's not like one has a better. They both have pretty solid upcoming schedules. I don't think you're actually at a detriment of either. The problem is both offenses stink. Like it's not even I can say like, oh, the Giants should be the better offense, but they're never all together.
You can make an argument that the Chicago should be a better offense with Allen Robinson, Mooney, Justin Fields, who we thought was going to be great. You can make the argument, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Both of these offenses are
two disappointing offenses.
Yes.
Sure has a question for us. Gallup or Damian Harris?
I would have to go Harris.
I'm going to have to go Harris as well, but
again, you'll know by 7:30. If the other two are active, just don't even think back out.
Yep.
Yes.
Justin says TJ Hawkinson, Knox, Gordon, OBJ, Gallup, Boyd, start 2. So usually Gordon would be in my answers, but with the concerns that he's going to be out, I'm going to go ahead and cross him off. This one's tough. It's probably Knox and OBJ for me, is where I'm going. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, that those are the first two names that I thought of that stood out. I hate the fact that TJ Hawkinson is considered this low as well, but I'm between TJ Hawkinson, Knox, and OBJ. Right now, I'm going Knox and OBJ. Yeah.
I'll wait for Melvin Gordon if you're allowed to wait for Melvin Gordon, because none of these, just Gallup is the one Thursday night guy, and we've kind of said like we're not really.
Yeah, throw him out there. Yeah.
Wait on Gordon because he would be. I have Hawkinson over Knox. I don't love either. Odell, I guess Odell and Gordon are my two favorite. Yeah.
If Gordon plays, I'm with you.
Yes, yeah. If
nervous,
it's if you don't really want to take the risk on that, Boyd always stinks. So I guess it'd be Hawkinson and OBJ if otherwise.
Justin has another question for us. Madison, Barkley, Jacobs, bench one here. So Madison, Barkley, Jacobs. It's, you know what's crazy? Madison's the lock for me.
Yes.
Yeah, Madison is the lock over Saquon
Absolutely.
Barkley and Josh Jacobs. And he was by far drafted the latest. And I'm probably, oh God, I'll bench Jacobs. I'll start Barkley. It's going to be Jacobs on the bench for me. Matt, what do you think?
I agree. It's 11 to 14 for those two, but Madison is, he's pushing. I have him 10th, and he feels like he should be a little bit higher.
He's a borderline top 5 guy this week. Like there's between that 5 and 10 range.
The top end of running back this week is awesome. There's like 12, like probably 11 running backs now ending at Barkley. I think the first 11 for my ranks are great, and then everything else feels. Ugh.
Josh, are you in agreement there? Would you bench Jacobs? Are you benching Barkley?
I'll bench Barkley.
Josh benching Barkley. It's close. I think Jacobs and Barkley are very
they're
close.
They're back to back for me. So.
Justin has another question for us. Burita, Jennings, Galladay need one. So who's starting out of that bunch?
I think that's Jawan Jennings, right, over in San Fran.
Yeah,
I was just
because Debo's out, and they announced that he'll be the number 2 receiver if Debo were to be out. Galladay's done nothing to impress you lately.
It's probably Burita for me.
I would ask Justin. It's Galladay. Glennon's not great, but he's not. I don't think he's as detrimentally, disgustingly bad as people.
And they're
think
expecting Daniel Jones to start, right, Josh?
Yeah,
yes, they just announced that. Yeah.
I think Galladay is right outside my top 30. If Glennon were to be in, it would be lower. But even at that point, I would still like to look for like Tim Patrick, T.Y. Hilton. I wouldn't really want to. I understand Jawan Jennings because Seattle, but I still have him like in the 40s and 50s, and he's a player I'd probably have to move up. But I don't love him. I like Galladay.
Josh, where are you going here?
I would go Galladay as well.
And I'll take Burita for the touchdown upside. He's looked explosive. I'm not excited about any of these, so I'm picking the one I think is most likely to find his way into the end zone, and that's Matt Burita for me. Whenever the options are not great, that's what I look for here. Mike says pick one for flex: T. Higgins, Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard, OBJ. His wide receivers are Jefferson, D-Hop, and RBs are Madison and CEH. So, first of all, if Melvin Gordon does not play, I would plug in Javonte Williams over CEH in your running back slot and then consider CEH for this flex. Like, that's the move I would make. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But then for flex, T. Higgins, Pollard, Odell Beckham Jr., or Javonte or CEH. I think those are all the names we're talking about here.
It'd be T. Higgins if Melvin Gordon does end up playing. It'd be T. Higgins for me, and then Javonte if Melvin Gordon doesn't play.
Yep. Agreed. I'm fully with you on that one. Jay says OBJ versus Jax or Judy versus Kansas City.
OBJ.
I'll take OBJ.
I think so. Man, those Broncos are just, they don't care about featuring any one guy. It was a few weeks back where they had like 4 targets to like all of them. They don't particularly care. I still lean Judy a little bit.
You lean Judy. Cool. No, that's nothing wrong with that.
And I say that with the most disgusted look on my face I could muster. 29th for Judy, 32nd for Odell. If you have a personal lean, my good friend Jay, go with your gut.
Do you think Judy would be just like tearing it up if he was on the Rams offense?
Yeah, I think if they have so many just
I'm sorry. I was
absolutely. They like that's the kind of receiver they need. They need this clean, polished route runner. Like
he's like a Robert Woods.
He's like a Robert Woods. He would have fit perfectly into that role.
Well. Yeah, yes, exactly.
I think there's one if you go with how you think game script's going to go, because if I'm looking at, Rams versus Jacksonville, this feels like a 24-6 game. Kansas City is that, that's a the interdivisional game, Sunday Night Football, that feels like points.
Yeah,
I prefer Judy. That's a good point.
I think that's going to be a competitive game, the Broncos and the Chiefs. So I'll still
like to think so,
but I think it could be a competitive game.
Andrew wants to know J-Rob, Madison, Ayuk, start 2 PPR. I think we all agree that Madison is a lock out of these 3. So it's which of the other 2 are we starting, Matt? Is it J-Rob or Ayuk?
I go James Robinson, and it's so tough because we have to then decide, do we want to start and trust Ayuk? Because there's no Sam, we know that, right? But then it makes it seem like it should be definitively Ayuk. It depends on how good you think Ayuk is. So I have him wired for 20, right? Robinson's running back 12. But what does 12 mean to 20 across the across the scape? Robinson better floor, Ayuk the much better ceiling. If you think about it that way, Andrew, decide what you need to have for your team. If you need 10 to 12 points and you're fine with that, if you're going to definitely need 16, 17, 18, go with Ayuk.
Full agree with Matt. Josh, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's James Robinson for me. He's involved enough in the passing game to where if this game script gets away from them, he still could, provide you fantasy value through his catches. So I'll go with James Robinson. I still don't have full trust in Ayuk.
J-Wall, what's up? Says, I'm here to party. Well, you're a little late to the party, J-Wall. And Justin saying Lockett or Judy. This is Lockett for me.
It's Lockett for me too, and it's like the Seahawks offense is terrifying. But...
Yeah, I don't like it, but it is Lockett.
Yeah,
Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, there's a big mosh of players in like the wide receiver 12 to 25, and I prefer Lockett.
Yep. James says, is Kenyon Drake a drop? So it was looking like he was a reasonable start each and every week, but the past 3 weeks in PPR points, 5.1, 3.9, 5.0. Before that, it was looking good. The 3 previous games, 16, 16.9, 21.3. So Matt, do you think Kenyon Drake is a drop, or is this a player you're trying to hold on to?
This is one of the more frustrating running back situations to come out, because after they made the head coaching change because of that stuff, it seems like Drake was eventually, they're like, hey, the guy we paid the same amount to play as Jacobs, we're going to use him. And then they've gone completely away from that. It kind of doesn't make sense from a coaching standpoint. Again, if you're going to drop him, who are you dropping him for? That's the question, because running backs heading towards the playoffs is super important to have a backlog in case. Because Alexander Madison should not have been on people's waivers. He just if he was picked up this week, playoffs have just changed fantasy landscape wise with him and Williams being available. If Jacobs goes down, what does that mean for your team? Anything could change dramatically. So I would not be, unless you're getting someone very important.
Like Madison. I'm with you. Josh, what do you think?
Now, Kendrick Drake's not on the same level as Madison in terms of just when the starter goes down, like this guy's a lock and loaded every week. No even question about a starter, just because we saw what happened earlier in the year, right?
But
and it's
that
a different
was
coaching
with the coach. Yes,
but I'm about to agree with you, Matt. I do not think that you need to drop Drake. I would be trying to hold on to him personally, because I do think that if Jacobs got hurt, Drake would be maybe not the featured back, but the most valuable fantasy back for the Raiders, and a guy that you want in your lineup. So yeah, I'm with you.
James wants to know Schultz or Goddard. Schultz or Goddard this week. So Schultz playing tonight against New Orleans, and Goddard going up against the New York Jets on Sunday. I'm going Goddard here.
I also lean Goddard personally.
I guess it depends if Amari and CD are out, similar to the Michael Gallup stuff. But you're going Schultz regardless, Matt?
Yeah, I have Schultz in my top 5. I really do like Schultz. And Goddard, I think I have to move him up because Hurts, I'm still a little hesitant about fully if he's going to play or not. I think he's one that's still a little bit murky, unless that has changed and I just don't have the information. But that Jet game stinks. I'm just going to say that flat out. I don't like a lot of that outside of just Hurts from his rushing standpoint. I'm fine. I prefer Schultz. I prefer that offense for the scoring possibilities as well.
And what about Mooney or Judy? Matt, are you on Mooney or Judy?
Mooney, if we have no Robinson, he's seeing like 13 targets per game and he's averaging like 120 something yards. It's a pure volume play and it's great.
I'm with
Mooney's
you.
been pretty good all year too. I mean, Mooney's a great receiver. I'm convinced. I'm on the Mooney train now. I think once they get a quarterback in here, maybe it's Justin Fields himself. Once they figure out the mess at quarterback, Mooney is such a good receiver, man. I'm going to Mooney.
J2 Nice says start Zeke today. My other option is Josh Jacobs. I'm going Zeke. Matt, are you going Zeke?
Yeah, I like the big load that's coming his way apparently from Jerry Jones. I like to see what that means.
It's a serious load, I think.
What a
seriously big load.
What a statement.
Josh, are you agreeing Zeke there?
Yeah, I would go Zeke.
Jill Lord wants to know Javonte, OBJ, Gallup, or Judy for flex PPR. Josh, what do you think?
It's an easy Javonte if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, right, guys?
And it's still Javonte for me if Melvin Gordon does play.
I'll go OBJ
with these other options.
Melvin Gordon does.
Yeah, actually go Javonte. I think no matter what.
I'm crazy.
I don't hate it. OBJ's carved out a role in this offense, it seems like. Claypool or Judy? It's Claypool for me.
Yeah, me too.
I go Judy. Claypool is actually a player that I'm very much out on. I give a lot of respect to your guys' Baltimore team. I'll tell you that. I don't like Claypool though. I really don't. I think he's really not on the same level in that offense to Harris and Deontay Johnson. No, thank you.
I agree with that.
So
I think those are the reliable options. Just there's some quarterback and offense issues preventing Claypool from reaching the steal, and I feel like and practice issues. Also, Jay letting us know James Robinson DMP reports were false. Jags released official practice report with limited, so that kind of validates what Justin was saying earlier. Gallup or Hardman PPR? I think you're going to get a Gallup answer out of me finally. I'm going to go Gallup here. You found the line.
Gallup.
Some other options you can think of playing.
It's like no.
If we're really looking down there, Juwan Jennings, Russell Gage, maybe someone from Jacksonville. No, thank you on me call. Like, what the best way that they use him in Kansas City is they use like jet sweeps and just use his speed.
Yeah,
he's not good when he has to play receiver. He's very good when he just has the ball in his hands. Yeah. And they're doing it like sparingly, but they should do it more. The problem is like, why would you want to take the ball away from Kelsey or Hill or, anyone in the backfield?
They got so many good weapons. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be also much better on another team.
JR in here says, okay, you guys have got me confused. We have been talking a lot of these players against other players, not directly against each other. So I get the confusion. So let's start over. I need one wide receiver, one running back, and one flex. I'm guessing that's Henderson, Jamal Williams, Javonte Williams, Waddle, or Higgins. So one wide receiver, one running back, and one flex. Let's start with the wide receiver. Waddle or Higgins?
Waddle.
It's Waddle for me as well. So we figured that one out. The one running back. If Henderson plays, it's man, there's a lot of moving pieces here, right? Because Henderson, does Henderson play? And then with Javonte Williams, does Melvin Gordon play? Jamal Williams is the only one we're pretty certain about. So, Matt, which one of these running backs would you start? And you can put caveats on it, like if this player starts, if this player doesn't start.
Like the little tree.
Yeah.
Henderson, if Henderson does not play, Javonte Williams, if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, it's still Javonte Williams. Jamal Williams, again, I am down on him. And it's they say PPR, half PPR, any of that? Because Minnesota is not a defense that really gives me much pause. I just don't like this Lions offense at all. And DeAndre Swift, I think, is a special talent. Jamal Williams can still do the pass catching. He can still run the ball. But he seems very plotty this year. He has not had any real burst. So if he's not getting reception sort of work, when Javonte Williams hits a hole, you think he's going to go 65 yards. When Darrell Henderson hits a hole, you also think he's going to go 60. He's been very good this year. I like those players a lot. I would go Henderson, Waddle, and the flex is, I think Higgins. I think
Higgins over Javonte
for flex. Yes.
Josh, what about you?
I more or less agree with Matt here. So Waddle's at your wide receiver position. It's Henderson if he plays. Let's just talk for a second. If he doesn't, then it's, Jamal Williams actually for me. So, but yeah, I would go Waddle and Higgins. So, there's so many moving parts, right? If Melvin Gordon doesn't play, though, then it's Javonte Williams is definitely in here. Yeah.
So for me, if Henderson plays and Gordon plays, my answer is Henderson, Jamal Williams, Waddle. If Henderson plays and Gordon doesn't, it's Henderson, Javonte Williams, Waddle. If neither Henderson or Gordon play, it is Javonte Williams, Jamal Williams, Waddle. For me.
And next time we're going to break down the Da Vinci Code, which was just because Andrew. Yes.
Andrew wants to know Hawk or Freiermuth PPR. Matt, which of these two tight ends are you starting this week, Hawk or Freiermuth?
Freiermuth was a player I was intentionally not ranking for the concussion issues. It seems like he's going to play. It seems like he looks like we're good. Probably Freiermuth. Actually, no. Hawkinson. Tight end's gross. I go Hawkinson by a spot because I'm going to probably play Freiermuth over Goddard and Knox. I would, if Logan Thomas is somehow still available on your waivers, I would prefer Logan Thomas. I will say that. If Josh, I'm allowed to.
Yeah, you are, Josh.
It's Hawk for me.
It's Hawk for me. I said earlier I would start Knox over Hawk, but I'm not starting Freiermuth over Hawk in what I view as a negative matchup for tight ends going up against the Baltimore Ravens this week. So I'll go Hawk here. But that's around where that line is. Hawk, Knox, Freiermuth, they're all kind of in the same tier going forward, which is crazy. Steven says, would you look to buy low or sell high? Any player to improve my team. The team is Burrow, Najee, Eckler, Madison / Cook, AJB, Keenan Allen, and Freiermuth. It's a pretty good team.
I see an issue here.
Receiver though.
Yeah, you're missing a receiver. It looks like
you can maybe you could try to move Najee, I think, and roll with Eckler, Madison, Cook rest of season. I think is what I would try to do. See what you could get for Najee. You might be able to get a top tier receiver. You might be able to get a Tyreek Hill, a Devontae Adams for a running back like that. Maybe go down a little, Stephon Diggs.
I think what he should look to do, and I've said this a few times, I'm going to keep saying it. Washington has had 35 minutes of possession for 3 straight games. They are doing an excellent job of just having the ball, right? They're running like 70 plays per game. Curtis Samuel and Logan Thomas, I'm going to keep saying, if they are available on your waivers, make sure that changes because you have 2 spots that could be improved. Freiermuth, just because tight end is whatever the position is, and AJ Brown, because when he does return, the Tennessee Titans that is the team that's going to disappoint everyone. They're going to have like an 8-3 record. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a first round out, right? That's just what's going to happen. They got no juice. They got screwed on injuries. There's nothing else to say. But Curtis Samuel and Logan Thomas, the only issue was health. It was not talent. Once those guys are back, the Washington football team has had a real problem getting more than one passing score. They only have one game of more than one passing touchdown over the last 7 games, which was 2 weeks ago against the Carolina Panthers. Make sure those guys are rostered. Those can be the playoff difference makers. Washington plays a lot of like divisional games like we've done down the road, and that division sucks. So
I'm with you on Logan Thomas. Curtis Samuel, I can't buy into.
Just because he's free. Because receivers, Juwan Jennings might be good this week, but is he good 2 weeks from now? Like I'm just talking about like players like
I get it. I get why
Rashad Bateman's out there because for some reason 50% of ESPN doesn't roster Rashad Bateman. Yeah, go pick him up.
And Steven says so hard to trade away a RB, but I get it. I play a little bit differently come fantasy playoffs time, Steven, and I build glass cannons going into the fantasy playoffs. Like if you survive the whole season, you reach it, and you're going to go into the playoffs. I trade away all of my depth for stud starters and try to get a stud-filled lineup because you need luck to win a title anyways. If a player gets injured, then you know what? You were probably going to lose out in the playoffs anyway. So I'm comfortable trading Najee if you can get a top-tier wide receiver in return.
Yeah, he's got Bateman already. Good boy.
Yeah. Guys, we got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to rapid fire through some of these questions. Clamp says start Ingram today. I have Hunt and Jones on bye. Only other option is Howard. Yeah, Ingram over Howard.
Start him with confidence. Yeah, he'll be good.
Chris says Gallup, Claypool, Mike Williams. Pick 2, half PPR. Matt, which 2 are you picking here?
The last 2, unfortunately.
Yep. Same here,
Definitely
Josh.
last 2 for me. Yeah.
Smokey the Cat says, should I drop Sony or Burita for Parker? So for Devontae Parker with him coming back, I'm not.
No, especially if Sony Michel might start this week if we don't have Henderson, which would be an awesome start. So do not start. I picked up Sony. Do not drop Sony.
These are the running backs, the kind of bat. Like I want to hold on to these guys going into the playoffs.
And I'm typically right there with you guys. But Parker, he was getting crazy targets when he was healthy and playing. If you're really desperate for a wide receiver, I'm absolutely fine making a move like that.
Jay says, okay, keep trade cut. The Simpsons, Adventure Time, Rick and Morty. Get out of here, Jay. Just kidding.
you gotta keep Rick and Morty. I think the Simpsons probably has the most value, so I'm gonna trade them and I'm gonna cut Adventure Time.
I'm gonna keep Adventure Time. I'm gonna trade Rick and Morty for the value, and I'm gonna cut Simpsons, and that really hurts.
I'm gonna like if you have like certain seasons of these, the first 7 seasons of The Simpsons, like the first 2 seasons of Adventure Time, and like the first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty were all amazing.
Season 5 was so good.
They lost their. I could spend an. I could spend an hour talking about.
We'll have a Rick and Morty show. LeBron's wants to know: should I start Ingram over Hawkinson full PPR? I would. Mark Ingram.
Yeah, I would.
Jay Wall says Goff or Zach Wilson rest of season. Waiver Taylor Heineke.
I mean,
I would go Taylor Heineke.
Listen, I have a league that's like this in Dynasty. It's bad. I'd say Goff, and
I would go Goff, but there's no one on your waiver wire right there. Also, Jay said Josh had the correct answer there on that one.
Yes.
Guys, we are going to go ahead and wrap up for today, for today's office hours. Matt, thank you so much for joining. And guys, make sure you go and follow Matt on Twitter at Methodical1. Like I said, he's one of our favorites in the space and one of the best redraft minds in fantasy Twitter. So you want to make sure you're not missing out on his advice. You know what? We got one more in here. NPR coming in with the buzzer beater. 8-4, 10-team PPR trade deadline tonight. Any moves? QB Kyler, running backs Eckler, Hendo. He's got Michelle to back him up. Mitchell and Dillon, wide receivers, CD, D-Hop, AJ Brown, Bourne, Elijah Moore, Bateman, tight end Kittle. So the obvious point of weakness, I think, compared to your other positions, is your wide receiver position. But I don't know.
It's so weak.
But it's not that weak. Like you're still good at wide receiver. I'm not sure what moves I'd be making here, guys. Are there any obvious moves you would make? Any trades you would try to make before the deadline?
I'd like to go running back because he does have actual good receiver depth.
Yeah.
Trade out Henderson and like the least favor you have of Hopkins, Brown, and Lamb. See if you can get like Harris. See if you can get Joe Mixon. See if you can get, because you're not getting Taylor. Taylor's like, we've lost all the other great guys. Taylor is so far ahead of everyone else right now that.
So you're saying package Henderson with one of these wide receivers to try to upgrade at the running back position.
Yeah, because Eckler,
and then you'd be comfortable starting like D-Hop, CeeDee Lamb, and Rashad Bateman. Or
who's your rest of season top 5? That's the thing.
At running back.
Running back. Who's your rest of season top 5? It's Taylor, no matter what.
Right. Mixon, Eckler.
He's got one of the top 5. Go get another of the top 5 that's not Taylor. So Harris, Mixon. Who's the other? Who's Nick Chubb?
Eckler.
What are we to with this? Like,
Fournette, is he up there?
Are people considering Cordell Patterson up here?
Like, that's the thing. It feels like Taylor, Eckler, Mixon, and Harris are like very good 4.
Yeah.
Because who's on bye this week? We're like missing. We have Panthers on bye. Well, bye CMC. Browns. Cleveland on bye. I still think Nick Chubb is very good for what Nick Chubb is. Aaron Jones has been just good, so he's not in there. Like the 5th guy doesn't exist, right? But there's 4 guys that are really good and one that is amazing. If you already have one in Eckler. If you can get Mixon or Harris, and those other owners don't have good brains and give you them, take him.
I think that's a good call. try to go get one of those other guys. Javen wants to know, is CeeDee Lamb playing tonight? I think he's expected to. We're expecting him to, but hold on to that news. And if he doesn't, do I start Bateman or Tony? Josh, would you be starting Bateman or Tony if CD doesn't play?
Tony didn't practice today. I'm almost positive about that.
Yeah, Tony's a player I'm currently not ranking appropriately.
I would go Bateman
So it's gotta be
regardless,
Bateman.
though.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. That is going to be it for us today. Matt, thank you so much again for coming on for Office Hours. We appreciate it. And everyone, we will be live again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Fantasy Football Game Show. To make sure to come in over there and play some games with us. Until then, we are out of here, everyone. We'll see you later.
Dream is fantasy fun. Let's go.